All right, so as we move along on our daily vlogs, the story I wanted to tell was, because this was, I saw a few content creators, they were discussing about how they got robbed, most of their equipment was stolen, and what would they replace, knowing what they know, or if they would stick to a particular brand, or which camera was their favorite. So I kind of would like to go through like a scenario, like if I had to start over and knowing what I know about equipment and stuff to do YouTube, like what would I go with? And what would be like my favorite, to kind of like what favorite camera I would use for YouTube. And I would have to say it's right now it's like Panasonic. I really enjoy like the ease of use of the Panasonic, whether it's the S5 Mark II or the S9. I mean, if I want to go like small, kind of portable, I would probably do the Panasonic S9 with a cage rig and my favorite lens, because it's like perfect for vlogging, is the 20 to 60 millimeter lens. Now the aperture is not that great, but if you check out my Knott's Berry Farm, Mary Farm video that I did, and that also includes the Snoopy on Ice, the I want to say Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's the night before Christmas, the Snoopy one. I had the Panasonic S9 with me with that lens, the 20 to 60, and if you freeze frame some of those shots, you could see all the grain that was produced on that. But because I was using shutter angle, a variable shutter angle, and just kind of let the aperture change stuff, and then I think I had it at ISO. The ISO I had it variable up to 12,800. So at night it would just peg at 12,800. I mean, the shots look good. I mean, I can't imagine if I had a faster lens, like a 1.7, how much better the shots would have come out, probably with less grain. And it was nice. It was beautiful. So and then if you look at the price, if you wait for Panasonic to have one of their famous sales, you could probably pick up the S9 for like about $1,300, including that lens. And that lens is a kit lens, but I like that lens. I just like the focal length and what it can do. So you could have it at 20 millimeters away, which will give you like the perfect like shot for YouTube to get that headshot. You got part of you in there, plus part, a lot of the background and stuff. That's my preference. And then also because this camera has this special like special edition on it. I can't find the right words. I'm like really tired from work, guys. I was like falling asleep at my desk. Shh. Shh. Anyway, it has like hybrid zoom, so you can take a 20 to 60 lens, and then you can use the hybrid zoom, and it'll go out to 93 millimeters. What? Yeah, you might get a little bit of degradation of the shot and all that because you're actually zooming into the sensor. So you might get a little degradation there, but like you can't really tell that you're zoomed all the way out to 93. And so you could just carry that one lens, get that one lens with the camera, and you're like golden. Now I haven't tried it at Scary Farm with those settings, but when I was at Mary Farm, at night, I mean, there were shots that, it was dark, you couldn't really see me, but then when the light hit just right, you could actually see me. You could actually see things even though the lens isn't that fast, I think the fastest, it was like a 3.5 aperture. So if you're not understanding, like when I say the aperture sizes, it's basically like the smaller the number, the wider it's open to allow more light in. And the higher the number, the smaller the aperture is, or the point of view, and it lets in less light, requiring more light outside of the camera to put onto the sensor. Now, if you have an aperture that's really wide open that lets in a lot of light, there's some parts that could be blurry. Okay, so it'll have a focal point of the center that'll be clear, but around the edges will be slightly blurry. Now, when you go ahead and close off that aperture, then things in the background will become more clearer. Now, the point of that is it's like it's mimicking like the irises of our eyes. When it's like bright out, iris will close, but you get more clarity. When it's dark and it has to open up really wide, you don't see things as clearly as before, and that's because like the smaller the hole, and you can try this, you can take your fingers, make a little hole and kind of look through it, and then you can kind of see a little bit clear. But if you open that up, then it may not be as clear, but as you close it off, then you can kind of get a little clearer. Now, if you wear glasses, you can kind of see a little bit better. Like if you had to, like say your glasses broke or something and you needed to read something, you can make that hole a little bit small and you might be able to see a little bit clearer to read whatever's on that sign. Okay. As far as the science goes, it just cuts out a lot of the blurriness to it, and it just makes it a little bit clearer. Now, I don't exactly know how that works, but when let's say like you have a lens that you use like an aperture of 4, everything you shoot, even including the background, is going to be clear. Now, if you want to have like a focal point in your shot, which technically would be you or the item that you're focusing on, let's say like the food. So what you want to do is you want to get an aperture of like, let's say 2.8 or a 1.4. Let's go 1.4 because you get more of an extreme on this. Like the background behind me would be blurred out. It's what they call bokeh. And then I would stand out, so it'd almost be like 3D. So like what most content creators do is, in order to kind of protect themselves from like copyright, or people don't want to be in your video but they get caught up from the background, you want to do the aperture of like a 1.4. So like you're in focus but the background is blurred out, and so the people walking up on you, they're going to be slightly blurred out until they get closer and closer to your focal point, and then they'll be in focus. So that's why they kind of do that. Plus, it makes you concentrate on, the subject, which is, you, the content creator. So, but yeah, I'm just surprised how well that Panasonic S9 did, especially when I did the night before Christmas, when I was filming the ice skating show, or what we call Snoopy on Ice. I did get some compliments off of that video saying, how did I hold that camera so still? Well, I had my bag. I put my camera on the bag to prop it because my arms get tired holding that camera in the same spot for 30 minutes. And also, there was no real shake because Panasonic has the best stabilization, as they say, in the business. Sony don't have that, Canon don't have that, Nikon doesn't have that. Panasonic does. The only problem with Panasonic is their autofocus. Sometimes their autofocus really isn't, as snappy. Sony's is. Sony has it down. But there's certain things about Sony I don't like, and they don't have really good stabilization. But I can fix that through Catalyst Browse, but that's another step. Using the Panasonic, you skip that step of stabilizing your shot. Does it in camera. And the way I have mine set up, I'm only at like, I'm halfway there. And I can get that shot to kind of like, I kind of like how it bounces just a little bit to kind of get you that effect that I'm walking, right? So it goes like this. Whereas like, if I did it with my Sony, it would just be perfectly straight. If I wanted to with the Panasonic, I could do the same thing, but then I get a crop. I don't want a crop. I want it the way you see it. You know, the way I'm showing it is the way you're seeing it. No crop, no, bringing it in. So, yeah, if I had all my stuff stolen, and I had to rebuy, I wouldn't rebuy everything. I would probably get the Panasonic S9, and it's also a full frame with that lens, because you can get it with the lens very inexpensive, and you'll have your whole YouTube setup. And then just get a cage for it, because that thing is hard to hold because it's small. There's no real way to hold it, steadily. But if you get the cage, yeah, makes a difference. Makes it a little bit heavier, but you know what? I like the weight. Damn it. Sorry, my wrist has been hurting like all day today. I just felt it pop. Anyway, what I like about the weight is you can hold the camera steady, as opposed to a light one. And then like if you have little micro jitters with your hand, the weight of the camera is not going to prevent it. You're still going to see that. But when you get the weight of the camera, then you stop those micro jitters. And that's why I like the big cameras as opposed to something small. Small is great when you need to be, you have the sense of being invisible with the crowd. You don't want them to know you have a camera. And the S9 is a smaller camera, as opposed to getting the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I mean, every content creator has one of those now. And, even when I went to Disneyland, I guess they were so popular. Like, I actually brought in one of my big cameras and I actually got a compliment. They just said, finally, someone brings in a big camera. But my point of this is, as I keep going off track, my point is, if I lost all my equipment, the one camera I would buy would probably be the S9 from Panasonic. It's just... it works for me. It gets that stabilization, so I can skip a step. It's full frame, so low light is pretty good. The color on there is, I love that color. It looks really natural, and it's easy to color grade too, so I can kind of change it around and stuff like that. And I would probably be satisfied with that. But I can't even form a question here, because it's like, so what camera gear would you get? You guys aren't doing the same thing that I'm doing. But yeah, if I was a gearhead and I lost all my stuff, I'd probably stick with Panasonic. And I know they're coming out with new cameras and stuff, but it's sort of like they're trying to, instead of being the leaders that they were and being innovative in creating, open gate. Let's see, I think they were the first ones to come out with 4K and all this other stuff. Now they're trailing behind, and they're trying to catch up, which they shouldn't try to catch up. They should just try to take their time, innovate, be a competitor. Don't try to be, I'm going to continuously be that number 4 guy. I'm never going to move up to 3 or 2, to try to catch up. I'm just going to go ahead and, see what you guys do and then copy you, and then hopefully you'll buy my stuff. Yeah, no. Well, one thing though that they do better is the color fidelity. Incredible. You get these rich, dark, deep colors that they're just so easy to just plug in. It's so incredible. But yeah, I think I've really got off the subject, but no, maybe I didn't. But yeah, Panasonic S9, full frame, inexpensive. You get a lens if you wait long enough to get it on sale. I mean, yeah, it's a bargain, and you're getting a really nice camera. And so I'd probably just go with that if I had all my stuff stolen. But lucky me, I don't have any of my stuff stolen, so I get a chance to kind of swap cameras around every once in a while, just depending on my mood. But yeah, I've been sticking with the Panasonic. Oh, the other thing is battery life. Battery life is good on that camera. I could probably just go through one battery in a whole day in a 5-hour period, just taking little shots and stuff like that. I've had cameras where after about an hour or two I have to change out batteries. But anyway, guys, I hope you like that story. I feel like I kind of lost the subject a little bit there. You guys can tell me in the comments below. It's no excuse, but I am very tired. I'm very fatigued today. Had a busy day, and it was just, I just kind of wanted to get this story straight, but I had other things on my mind, and I felt I just lost track. But that's part of why I'm doing these daily vlogs. And I'm coming to the tail end of my 30 days, so we'll see. I'll probably make a 31 video, and then I'll go through like what I thought the whole process was like, and would I do it again? And if you guys have requests, if you want me to do it again, but do something a little different. I don't know if I could do the daily, but I try to do other stuff where I tell stories and stuff, and kind of go around there. I just kind of change it. But very interesting things on what I'm discovering by doing these dailies. Whether it works or doesn't work, whether it helped me or hindered me, I don't know. But mainly this was just to try to get myself to get some consistency going and sticking to it. And yeah, there was a couple times that I almost just let a day go, say, I'm already ahead in the game, but yeah, I can't do that. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you guys leaving comments and letting me know how you feel about what's been going on and stuff with my daily vlogs. And until the next time, until it's tomorrow. All right, guys, have a good night.